Hey, I'm Danny Otto. Welcome into an all-new episode of That Recap Show. Now, before we get into the episode, just want to issue major spoiler alert. We are going to be going over everything that happened in the Season 1 finale of the Creature Commandos series. So if you haven't watched that episode yet, you may want to pause this video, head over to Max, check out that season finale, and then come back and enjoy the breakdown. Now, with that out of the way, let's start the show.
Poppin' Off presents That Recap Show.
All right, joining with me to break down everything from the Season 1 finale of the Creature Commandos series, it's Jon Jon Rico.
Hello.
Hello.
How are we doing?
I gotta keep it upbeat and positive because we had some sad, dark things that happened in that season finale. Whew.
Oh, yeah, it's the classic emotional roller coaster that is Creature Commandos.
I mean, look, holy hell, that was dark. But I mean, you know, it goes back to exactly what I was saying for our recent recap for Skeleton Crew, where I appreciate the tiny moments of humor that we had in this finale that kind of, you know, offset the sadder moments, I guess.
Oh yeah,
didn't completely offset them, but at least it helped me from like being like, holy shit, that was dark. But one of my favorite scenes, if we're talking about the tiny moments of humor scenes, is the very, very end during the credits. And spoiler alert, I mean, if you're watching already, hopefully you've actually watched the season 1 finale. It was very good. I strongly recommend you watch that. This is your last chance before we actually get into anything. But the end credit scene that we got, and I had no idea we were actually going to get one. Luckily, I was still watching.
Yeah.
Frankenstein just basically like,
what kind of soup is this?
Sparrow dropping soup.
Oh, tastes disgusting.
saying how awful the soup tasted, and that was kind of the palate cleanser.
New old lady friend too.
Yeah. Which I'm glad we didn't see anything bad happen in that. But
Which part of me got me a little bit confused because like, is that Bogdana from the last episode? Because they look so much alike, but I'm like, no, it's like so much like a different timeline. Like, how could it even be a thing? But I'm like, okay, I'm just gonna leave it alone. Like, I'm not trying to overthink it. Like, just
don't add logic to it.
Yeah.
It's just
And
a
once you said it was
humorous.
Sparrow dropping suit, that does sound disgusting.
Yeah. He was like, it's terrible.
Yeah, she's like, yeah.
I'm glad they left us with that like final like little chuckle that we could have from.
Oh yeah.
From your words exactly were perfect. Emotional roller coaster of a season finale. Yeah, that's completely accurate. But before we get into kind of like the meat of the finale episode and everything like that, Rico, what were some of your instant reactions for the season 1 finale?
Yeah, God bless David Harbour and his ability to kind of be just so naturally hilarious as Eric Frankenstein in those moments. I particularly love the scene with him and the cab driver where he's just like, talking ever so calmly about what's going on, and then it cuts to the cab driver just scared shitless, like, yeah, sure, I agree. Like, just like really, really well done. I just love the way they handled that character in general. But yeah, I thought this was an excellent finale. Like, I wish this was like another episode or two longer, but I thought the way they were able to wrap up the story, I thought was really well done. There was a lot of like stuff they had to cover, and I thought they did a good job of balancing it pretty well. Especially getting a little bit more like Waller in these last couple of episodes, and just like especially with Flag being out of the picture. Just really well done. But man, I feel like I'm going to say this every single time we cover like a James Gunn thing, but the way he's able to weave in music into certain scenes at times is just absolutely incredible. And in this episode, it's no different because he uses Johnny Hallow's version of People Are Strange, the Doors song, in a wonderfully beautiful way, but also a very sad and harrowing way as well, with the whole lead up to Nina trying to take out the princess, and then obviously her it backfiring for her. So yeah, and obviously the way they weaved in, like, the stuff with Weasel and like that whole tie-in with the little girl and the princess and all that, like the fact that they kind of laid all these seeds throughout the season just gave it such a intense payoff. Is really just a testament to how great of a writer Gunn is with these scripts, and his way and his ability to juggle so many characters and give them all meaning to a degree. But yeah, just that was just a really well done scene and another great use of music in this show. Like every single episode has a little piece of music that stands out in a particular sequence, and that was definitely the one for this episode. And yeah, poor Nina.
Yeah, I mean, whew, that got real heavy, real fast. But yeah, and we kind of got something answered, because I don't know if we ever saw it on camera with the princess actually playing fetch with Weasel. But I mean, the bride basically says that, that's how. So not only were we getting like Weasel's past, like making a connection between, the little blonde girl and the older blonde princess that, looked like a grown-up version, but also we know that, Weasel and the princess had some time together, and the princess was very kind to him, playing fetch with him for hours, was what the bride basically said.
Mhm.
So we do know that it wasn't just purely, muscle memory type of thing. It was actually, they did have somewhat of a connection type of thing. So
Yeah. I think it's really interesting too, because it's also like we know the perspective that Weasel has and everything, because we were able to see how he's able to put the two and two together. And then we've seen at times where the bride will just have her interpretation of however what
Right.
she thinks Weasel's thing is too. But I do want to say we did see a scene with her playing around with Weasel, like when they first got to the castle and stuff. That does feel familiar to me.
I think we did.
Yeah, so I think when we first saw Weasel's origin, I did remember thinking that the little girl looked a lot like the princess, and I was like, "There's gonna be some kind of moment where that's gonna come into play." And I didn't think it was gonna come at the cost of one of the most innocent characters of the whole show.
Yeah. Damn. But before we get too far into it, you want to get to some big takeaways?
Yeah.
Awesome. All right. That, I mean, we've kind of been dancing around the thing. And I mean, R.I.P. Nina. Like she.
Oh yeah.
It was a very tragic way to go out, and just like you were saying, with the music choice over top of it, it just felt like so much stronger of emotional reaction to that. And seeing kind of like her backstory leading up to that moment and everything like that gave us another big payoff after that whole scene. And that was the bride finally getting justice for Nina.
I'm killing you because you took the life of the only friend I have.
But basically saying that, like, yeah, Nina was the bride's only friend. And like that type of thing. Like, you know what I mean? Like, so she finally admits it out loud, and we get justice for Nina, with the bride actually taking out the princess and saying, "I'm not doing this to save the world. I'm doing this because you killed Nina."
Yeah. I do like that she throws in the little twist of there that the security footage we saw was her with Clayface too. It's like, I knew you were bad right there from there, but I'm also doing this because you killed my friend.
Yeah.
Like,
yeah. She goes, "I'm not doing it." She explicitly said, I'm not doing this because I know you're evil, or because I know that you've been lying all along. I'm doing this because you killed my only friend. Type of thing. Like, I was like, oh shit.
Yeah,
like,
I was like, well done. Indira Varma, well done.
Yeah, absolutely. But that gave so much more to that scene and everything. Also seeing kind of, this entire season, kind of seeing the interaction where Nina really did want the bride to say that she was her friend. That they were friends. And so, like, that moment had so much more of an emotional impact in the bride finally admitting out loud, like, oh shit, like, type of thing. But yeah, this was, I'm gonna keep using the same term you use, emotional roller coaster. Absolutely.
Oh yeah. Gun's a master of it too. I mean, if you watched, remember Guardians 3, it was almost the same. That movie's the same kind of vibe. So yeah, it's crazy.
Yeah, and I mean, just like you said, I mean, he's really good. I mean, bringing up all of the Guardians movies, he's really good at juggling an ensemble cast type of thing, and giving all of them the kind of the right amount of time and the right amount
moment.
Everyone has a moment, and getting a trilogy with Guardians gave him even more to expand on and more time, so that we did get to earn a lot of payoff that we got in Guardians 3 type of thing. So it was really, really cool to see that, and then to see it on a much smaller scale for this series and the season of the series, because we know we're getting season 2, which is really cool too. But Rico, before I get too far ahead of myself, what were some of your big takeaways for the finale?
Yeah, it's kind of a funny comparison to make, but the friendship between the bride and Nina was almost to me kind of like the friendship arc between Kraglin and Cosmo, the space dog, and Guardians 3, where we got that final payoff at the end where he finally called her a good dog. Which, funny enough, I believe the actress who voiced Cosmo Space Dog was actually the voice of the princess in this series too, because we obviously Gunn likes to reuse a lot of people in this, and when they had that first opening scene where she's speaking I get basically Russian, like whatever the name of the country is there, but it was basically Russian, I think, to a degree. I was like, oh yeah, that's like 100% her. And I couldn't remember if the actress who played Nina was anybody that he had used in the past either. I had to look that up later. But yeah, man, just going back to Nina again. Like this was there's a reason they saved her origin story for the end of the season, and boy, did I of all the emotional backstories that we've probably that we've gotten for all the characters, I would say I think it's probably safe to say that Nina's is definitely up there towards the top, because we've been saying throughout the whole season that there's a reason, like she seems way too innocent for to be on this team compared to everybody else on the Creature Commandos. Because they've all done some pretty heinous stuff. Well, aside from, I guess, Weasel, because he's also kind of an innocent in his backstory as well. But which is another kind of interesting thing that leads to her death, as well as the fact that it's another innocent character that kind of leads to her demise as well. But yeah, the reason that she was too innocent for the team was because she was literally just a girl who was the daughter of a scientist who she was born with a defect. Her lungs were outside of her body. And it was really tough for her to live in that situation. So her dad did whatever she could, and then ended up turning her into like this kind of like fish-like girl. And she seems to have like a pretty good upbringing, like living on like just in the secluded life. But then of course she got through the normal socialization of kids in school and being bullied and stuff like that.
Kids suck.
Yeah, kids suck. Yeah, kids suck at the end of the day, and it's always going to be a causing group of people's problems, especially going into the future when they feel like outsiders. And I guess you could see many different ways they're setting up Nina for like an incident to happen that would land her in prison, possibly. Like even if whether it was something that happened in school or something like that, or even something that happened with her dad that was her, like that she does herself, not necessarily like what ends up happening in the episode where she ends up leaving on her own and then being caught in this whole police scuffle and then just thrown into a tank and stuff like that. Like she's thrown in there against her own will, and then she's just kind of there, and now she's she's being put to use here on the Creature Commandos. So yeah, it's pretty crazy how she was just kind of thrown into this situation. And of course her we were also talking about how like maybe they were saving like this big moment where like she kind of goes all out and shows what she's capable of, but it really was like this moment where she's put into like this situation that she doesn't want to be in, and she has to kill the princess underwater. And it ultimately backfires on her. So yeah, it's an ultimately tragic character from beginning to end. And yeah, just kudos to the actress who played her. It was a wonderful portrayal.
Yeah, absolutely. I totally agree. And in that moment, I honestly thought we were going to get all of them just taken out. Like I thought, it was going to start that a chain reaction. Like I thought, Nina's going to get taken out underwater with the knife. And then Weasel was gonna get shot, and like maybe the bride was gonna like get in the way of like of the doc shooting like something out. Like I just thought, like I was like, oh no, is everyone about to get taken out type of thing? Like in one way or another, either by mishap or misfire or something like that. And then Waller's gonna call it the worst possible time, and it's going to be too late. Like the dust is going to settle, and it's like everybody gone. Like,
Arguably, you could say this was the worst possible time because she could have been saved
Yeah.
within seconds if they didn't do anything. Or if they even if they just argue about it just a little bit longer, and then that one guard who actually was ended up the one that was sneaking around the prisons facility, which I thought was a neat little tie-in, the
Yep.
one that's working for the princess. Yeah, like the fact that she was the only one that had to die in the situation when she didn't have to, and then it created like this really big kind of a scuffle between them. Always just like, oh man, it makes her death, her impact, the impact of her death just hit a little more harder.
Yeah. Well, I mean, at the end of the day, the princess was still evil. So I guess it would have changed a lot for next season had it not happened the way that it happened. I mean, you can always look at stuff, after something's happened and after you get more information type of thing and go, oh, okay. I mean, at that moment we were believing that, yeah, everything is wrong and the princess really isn't evil, but we had a hint at it already. We were like, what's on that camera footage? I mean, I kind of like, as soon as they showed us like a split second of it, I was like, that kind of does look like Clayface, but I was like,
Yeah.
Clayface dead already?
My brain just wanted it to be another character to be like, oh, are they introducing somebody? Like that was kind of where my brain was going. But I was like, oh, that makes a lot of sense that like she's the one that kind of planted this whole thing with the professor and stuff like that. I was like, okay, that's a nice little story, like kind of twist right there.
Right. So I mean, it's kind of justified. I mean, at least we can feel like, at the end of the day, yes, Nina didn't need to die, and she definitely didn't deserve to die, but she still, she still saved the world in her death type of thing. Like, a roundabout, because the bride still was like, I know you're bad, and I'm taking you out type of thing. Like, we still got like Nina's death leading to the saving the world type of thing. So we can kind of take a little bit of solace in that it wasn't for nothing type of thing.
Right. So. Yeah, for sure.
But would you like to get to some predictions?
Oh yeah.
Awesome. All right, why don't you kick off predictions?
Okay, so as we were kind of wrapping up like the main story, Bride took out the princess and everything, and then boom, we're right back to the I believe it's Argus, right? Or at least like the prison facility that they're holding them in. So I like that they're gonna give them their own wing to kind of just like hang out in now, and of course as we get the reveal of like their own little Creature Commandos wing in the prison, we open the door and we see several new members of the team available to us. And I was just saying last week that like knowing that we're gonna get a season 2 now, that this definitely opens up the door to introduce some new Creature Commando team members for sure. Yep. And we get not only some new faces, we get some familiar faces too, which I thought was really cool about this scene. One of the first ones that I was super excited for, of course, was the King Shark one, of course. And it reminded me, of course, exactly like the one we saw in Suicide Squad. He was even kind of doing like his like non-dom kind of a thing, which was really great. And then we get some new faces like Nosferatu, which is kind of like this vampire character. That kind of looks, it's kind of like a female Dracula kind of a thing. And just the play on Nosferatu itself, given the movie that just came out, I think is really a nice touch. And then an Egyptian mummy character, I want to say his name is Callus or Kalis, depending on the way that it's spelled. I'm not sure. I haven't really heard it said out loud before. But like a really cool kind of revived mummy Egyptian style character, which I think could be, the Creature Commandos have always kind of played on those almost like the Universal monsters style of characters. You get like a Wolfman, and we got Frankenstein and the Bride, and of course now I feel like Weasel's supposed to be like our funny version of the Wolfman in a sense. Like, and then we got like speaking of which, we have the returning GI robot, which is a really great thing, but he's got a bigger, buffer body, which made him look a little more like the Iron Giant, I feel like.
Yeah,
but I thought that was really cool because when I first saw him, I thought he was supposed to be similar to I want to say his name is Mr. Robot, a robot man from the Doom Patrol, that was played by Brendan Fraser. So at first I was like, oh, are they just bringing in another robot and he's supposed to be that now? But he's like, no, hey, it's me, I'm G.I. Robot. Like I was like, oh, sweet, he's back. So again, that was another thing that we kind of wanted back when we saw his whole demise episode. We had a feeling that he was probably the one character they could easily bring back. So I think with him coming back, I guess that officially makes Nina like the only real casualty of the team now. Which again, that hurts. So Yeah, again, just a really nice little tease of some upcoming members, and who knows, even maybe when season 2 starts up, they'll even like say, hey, we're probably not going to use like one of these characters, we're going to throw in some different characters that we haven't written in yet.
Yeah, I was super excited to see everybody. I don't know how early I said it, because I don't remember how early we started talking about potential for expanding the roster or adding like having different members on the roster or something like that. But I have been bringing up for a long time. One character I would definitely like to see is King Shark.
Yeah.
But voiced by Ron Funches from the Harley Quinn series, because I think he is one of my favorite. Just like, he's always in stuff, but he's always like a side character, and he always like a crazy, bizarre. Like, he does it so well, like crazy character and stuff like that. So having him in the Harley Quinn series, he's one of my favorite characters from that series. And so I'm like, look, there's still time. I know we introduced King Shark. He only said a couple of words. It would be so funny if we do have him on the team in season 2 and he like clears his throat and then starts talking with Ron Funch's voice. Like, I just think that would be such a funny thing to have. And then like maybe the bride makes a weird comment like, you sound completely different. And he goes, yeah, I had something in my throat or something like that. And it's just Ron Funch's version of King Shark from then on out. Because I think his version would fit so well with like this kind of jokey, like the Suicide Squad mixed with Archer kind of humor and stuff like that. I think Ron Funch's King Shark would fit so well in the team like that, and just the way he played that character in the Harley Quinn series. I would, if James Gunn or anyone else who's watching this can get this to James Gunn, if at all possible, let's get Ron Funches in on the phone as King Shark, please. But yeah, I'm really excited for season 2. I'm also really interested because we don't know, how much GI Robot like knows or remembers or anything like that. But we've even brought this up. GI Robot and Nina were close. Like, you know what I mean? Like before he blew up. So I'm wondering if we're gonna get anything like that, where like we have a scene of GI Robot finding out that Nina's not around anymore and like what happened type of thing. I'm also I'm wondering, is Rick Flag gonna be back? I mean, we had him waking up. I didn't even bring that up. I completely forgot up until now to bring that up.
Woke up in time to give off that the professor was Clayface or something like that, right? Yeah.
Right. Didn't even say Clayface. He was just like, the professor isn't the professor. I think that's all he really got out. But I'm wondering, in that final scene where we have the bride kind of meeting the new team and stuff like that, it doesn't really sound like Rick Flag's back type of thing. So I don't know if he's not back yet because he's still recovering, and then by the time season 2 rolls around, we're gonna have him back, or if he's just not gonna be part of it anymore. I hope that he's part of it again, because I did really like kind of having that dynamic of having kind of like a like a human in with everyone. So he has to, just like you said it in one of the past recaps, where he had to use his natural skills and
yeah, he's just a normal human. He's the Black Widow of the group.
Exactly. So he had to use like that, like his smarts and stuff like that to kind of work around and lead and stuff like that. So I kind of liked having that dynamic. So I'm kind of hoping that he does come back at least. I don't know about you, or do you have any? Basically, what I'm more opening the door before we end this video is like, what are you hoping to see other than the introduction of the new characters? But like, what kind of plots, but like anything are you looking forward to for season 2?
Yeah, I think when season 2 starts, I'm pretty sure there'll be a time jump, just like anything whenever these kind of shows jump seasons. I imagine when we see the GI Robot thing, he'll probably have some kind of like a shrine or some kind, I don't want to say shrine, but like a memorial, I would say, to Nina in some form, or there'll be some kind of an area in the wing that is a memorial for her that he did once we learned that he learned the news. But when it comes to Rick Flag, we do know he's going to show up in Peacemaker season 2, and we don't know, but I don't know if we know whether or not that's supposed to be him pre or post Creature Commandos. So if it's supposed to be him post Creature Commandos, maybe he's coming back in like, you know, all healed up, and maybe he's got some enhancements, something like that makes him a little bit stronger. Because you know, Frank Grillo, he's not like as big as John Cena. As big, obviously, I mean, more as big as John Cena, but he's a little up there. Like he's probably, I should say, in his 50s as well. So like you need to give him a reason. Like when you see him on screen with someone like Cena, like almost give him a reason to look. You can hang with him physically as well. So I imagine, like, you know, just being taken out by somebody like Clayface, Waller will have taken some kind of a means to boost up his recovery process, I imagine, in some form, and that's something we're gonna learn hopefully later.
Yeah, hopefully. I'm looking forward to, you know, seeing Rick Flag in Peacemaker. I'm definitely looking forward to a season 2 of Peacemaker. I think that's gonna be awesome. I'm looking forward to a season 2 of Creature Commandos. Like, I mean, this is awesome. I can't wait. I like how we can get, you know, these connections between other projects, because that's the kind of stuff that I really enjoy, and you know, because you can further stories and plots outside of different, like the different projects. It's not like we have to wait, you know, until season 2 of Creature Commandos if we've got Rick Flag in Peacemaker, which is it done filming already? Didn't we get the confirmation, or was it done being written?
It's either done filming or mid filming. I know it's been filming though,
right?
Or was filming. I think it's done filming.
Yeah, I was pretty sure we got a confirmation that it was done filming. I couldn't remember for sure. So that's definitely going to be out before season 2 of Creature Commandos. So it's exciting that we can kind of further some of the characters from this to until we get Creature Commandos season 2 type of thing. So
right,
really cool. I can't wait to see, you know, everything moving forward. It's just a lot of fun.
Another thing I'm definitely interested to see if they'll tie this into another project, possibly the Paradise Lost, you know, Themyscira stuff, is the stuff with Cersei. You know, just the way that she was, you know, handled in this story. You know, they didn't kill her off; she's still locked up somewhere.
Right.
But I wonder if we'll get some kind of a reference to her in some kind of other project, or if she was just kind of like a one and done character used to, you know, in this plot against the princess. But being that she's someone from the Themyscira, and she was using the Lost Sons and stuff like that, I want to see if any of those kind of plot threads will be used in other stuff going forward as well.
It's also super confusing on what Waller thinks now too, because it's like technically she
was right.
Yeah, she's still right. Like they thought she was right, then they immediately thought, or then later they thought she was wrong, but she's technically still right.
Mm-hmm.
But the only person who really truly knows that is the bride.
Right. So I'm curious to see if she'll be let go, or if she's just being held because she killed people in the, on the division and stuff like that. Right. Anyway, but yeah, I think it'd be interesting to see if that character shows up in other forms of media, especially live. I want to see all these characters show up in live action in some form or another. So if we could see them being woven into different projects, that would be a little more fun as well.
Yeah, I totally agree. I can't wait. I'm here for everything. This series, you know, is the start of the new DCU, and I think it was a great start. Like I think this was an awesome series to kind of start everything up with.
Now we get Superman.
Yeah, we'll definitely be recapping that as soon as possible.
Oh man,
maybe we can go to premiere. Let's put that out there in the universe. Like,
there you go. Aim high.
Yeah, well, we're going to either the LA or New York premiere. Yeah. In the meantime, as we always say, that's what we think. Let us know in the comments below. What did you think of this season 1 finale of Creature Commandos? And what do you think is next for these characters? Where are we going to see them? We already know that we're going to be seeing live action Rick Flag in Peacemaker season 2, but are we going to see any of these other characters before season 2 of Creature Commandos? And as always, don't forget, like, subscribe, and turn on notifications to hear about all of our latest audio and video podcast releases. Bye, everybody!
Poppin' Off presents That Recap Show.